Welcome, friends. Today, I invite you to go on an exploration with me to better understand your personal relationship to fear and how to potentially overcome it, or at least soften the intensity. So let's dive in. When was the last time that you thought about fear? Not about what scares you, but what is driving the fear? I've been sitting with this and contemplating this very question. What exactly is fear? Because if we can understand it, we can potentially use that knowing to help overcome it, right? And when you think about what is fear, the first thought might be fear of death, fear of pain, fear of loss, sickness, discomfort, hurt. But when you take a step back, it's always fear of, right? Fear of. So what actually is fear? What's the driving energy of it? Because there's so much fear in the world today. And it's important to remember that this has been a persistent theme throughout our history. Now, personally, fear has been something that I've struggled with in pretty much every aspect of my life. And much of the root of most of the anxiety that I've struggled with and to a degree have overcome. Now, I've noticed massive shifts in both my anxiety levels and fear as I've worked to soften the two. Now, for me personally, might be different for you, working with the anxiety was more accessible, and then that allowed me to confront and soften my fears. Now, with that said, they are often enmeshed, so it isn't so easy to separate the two. I speak to my personal approach, as I do, because as I say in most of my videos, if not all, there is no right or wrong way, and each person's approach will be unique to them. This is working for me at this point in my life. It may or may not resonate for you. Some people love to just jump right into exposure therapy and confront their fears head on. For me, I needed to address my anxiety before I could comfortably do that. I'm going to get personal here. I've had to navigate anxiety and depression since I was young, and I've been on most of the medications, been doing a deep dive into yoga and meditation for decades now. A big part of the equation that was missing through all of this was my nervous system. Personally, living in New York City for so long made it really hard to truly soften my anxieties. After leaving, I noticed my nervous system beginning to balance, and as I dove deeper into my own spiritual practices. I'm also very sensitive to energies, which I'm really only just acknowledging after I left. And so not being surrounded and bombarded by so many different energies all at once, it gave me the space to really begin to heal and balance my nervous system. That, plus accessing and being in nature more to facilitate a deeper sense of grounding, allowed me to truly utilize all of my practices and techniques that I had learned throughout the years and finally began to embody them. And I say embody them because while I love them, I worked with them, I was understanding it more as I see now from more of an intellectual framework rather than an embodied knowing. And I share this with you because from this work, I'm finally in a place to live out a dream that I've had since I was a little girl, which is going nomadic. I mean, even back in high school, I had a binder. It was the 90s. And it was filled with all the countries that I wanted to travel to and live in. And to put this into context in terms of my own really recent shift away or softening at least much of my fears, is that I actually joked about traveling the country with my pup Pepper last year. And I say joked because I loved the idea, but I truly didn't think that I actually could or would. Fear was holding me back, and softening and releasing that fear is setting me free. Now, side note, if you're noticing that the sound is maybe a little bit more echoey than before, it's because I am releasing all of my possessions as part of this, and so there is less to absorb the sound. So doing my best to kind of filter it, but I hope you'll bear with me. So all of this got me thinking about what is fear exactly? And I began to sit with it and staying as objective and as neutral as I could. I tried to understand fear at a deeper level. So I sat in contemplation of the nature of fear. And I realized that when we talk about fear, it usually goes like this. I'm afraid of this, that scares me. But what if I can't because I'm too scared to? He, she, they will. Now, as I mentioned earlier, right, the fear is always, not always, most of the time, at least in my own experience and many of my clients, the fear is placed upon something or someone. So what is it? Yes, it's a feeling and it's emotion, so therefore it's energy. But as I sat in contemplation, it hit me. Fear is a lack of trust. Right? So much of fear is rooted in not trusting oneself and not trusting others. So the more I sat with it, I realized that it actually falls into 4 categories. Lack of trust in oneself, lack of trust in others, lack of trust in Mother Earth, and lack of trust in Source, higher power, God, universe. Insert whatever label resonates with you. Now remember that this is my understanding at this point in time. If it doesn't resonate, I invite you to sit with fear to better understand your personal relationship to it. If you're getting curious, I invite you to try this thought experiment to do just that, to explore your relationship with fear. Find a comfortable posture for your body in this moment. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable to turn your awareness inward, or find a soft gaze on a point of focus. Now think about a fear that holds you back in life. Notice it with a gentle, compassionate awareness, allowing it to be exactly as it is in this moment. If it's accessible, begin to recognize when it developed and why. Did anyone play a role? And who or what reinforces this fear in your life currently? Also know that if no background information arises, that is okay. We're just exploring. And you don't have to have the full picture, just shine a light to it. And when we shine a light on what scares us, it makes it much easier to work with. Now ask yourself, where are you lacking in trust in this scenario? And if trust doesn't resonate with you, what is missing that is creating this sense of fear? Remember, there's no need to figure anything out at this moment. We're just shining a light of acknowledgement and understanding on it. And gently let the thought experiment go. Feel free to hit pause and journal about anything that came up for you. And if this resonates, feel free to continue this exploration. You can get curious around one fear a day, week, month. You might want to dive in and just do a brain dump of all of the fears holding you back, and then tackle them one at a time or in a thematic manner. Simply exploring the fears might be enough to neutralize some. For others, notice the ways that you can cultivate trust or whatever is missing for you that is creating the fear to help soften that fear and move into alignment in your life. Now, one energetic way to cultivate trust is with the root chakra. I have a ton of content on the root chakra between YouTube and my blog and my courses, and so I will link all of that in the description. Working with the root chakra is just one approach to cultivating trust. There's so many ways to go about it, and it will look different for everyone. Now, it often involves getting very honest with yourself and in your relationships with others. This lends itself to open communication and vulnerability. But remember that everyone's path in this work will look different. Do what works for you and know that it might take some time to figure that out. For me, spirituality has been instrumental in my ability to trusting that life is all about learning lessons and growing as a human, but most of all, as a soul. It helps me to take things less seriously when I can see it in the bigger context of the soul's journey. Now, if you watched my video or read the blog post about perception, I spoke about how our perceptions help shape and create our reality. Examining our own beliefs and mindsets and consciously shifting them to align to trust can, maybe, pave the road for you to overcome fear or at least soften the intensity. Easier said than done, I know. But feel free to share in the comments about your own experience with this thought exploration or your relationship with fear. Please also share any wisdom that has helped you soften your fears as well. We are a growing community, or that at least is my intention. Friends, as you do this, please go easy and be gentle with yourself. And as always, stay curious, friends.